Welcome to the Advance Your Art podcast, where we talk about the journey from artist to entrepreneur and everything in between. You've worked hard to hone your craft. Now take it to the next level with tips, techniques, strategies, and routines used by successful artists to grow their businesses and careers. Now, let's get started and have some fun with your host, Yuri Cataldo.
Hello, Brooke. Welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. I'd first like to start off by asking you, how do you describe yourself and what it is that you do?
So it's actually kind of funny because I'm working with a fascinate coach at the moment, and so I'm working on this whole new thing. But process architect is the word that the phrase that I am looking for to describe what I do. Process architect.
Process architect. I like that. So fascinate, is that Sally Hogshead?
It is. It is. I'm excited because, I've done all of the other ones, the Myers-Briggs and the DISC and, all those different ones. And when I was introduced to Fascinate, it was actually a potential client, and she sent me the test, the small test, and she said, "You need to take this because this is your superpower." And I love that, and I love uncovering people's superpowers so that we can figure out what their arch nemesis is and fix it. And so now that I get to go through this entire Fascinate profile and really dig in and find, I know what my superpower is. I just don't know how to describe it. And so it's exciting to have words to describe what it is that you really are. Mm-hmm. So it's a new thing for me.
Well, good. It sounds interesting. I think I took the small profile test after listening to her on one of many podcasts, but I don't remember exactly the details on mine. I remember I'm supposed to be speaking more in public. That's as much as I can remember from that test. Because since then I was like, oh, what's another test to take? There was this phase, I was like a year ago, where I was like, I'm just going to take all of these tests and just to see where the connections are.
Right.
So I don't remember details on a lot of them, but I do remember hers, and then she comes up a lot on a few of the different business podcasts that I listen to.
Yeah, it's fun, and that's the thing about it is, I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, so prestige is what I build my business on, and power is what I build my speaking and my guesting, and, that's my stage presence. And then my third, which most people don't talk about, is really what runs my personal life, which is really weird because, as I started digging into the pieces of all of that, I find that they all contribute. And, when I first got my profile, I'm like, I kind of feel like this is a horoscope. Like you read the horoscopes and you're like, that is so me. Mm-hmm. And so that was how I felt when I read my Fascinate profile. And I'm like, I need to dig into this more. So it's kind of become an addiction.
Well, now you've inspired me to go dig up mine again and look at that.
Yeah, you totally need to.
Yeah, now I'm too curious to see what it was.
Well, and it's funny because, working with this particular client and going through her program so I can help her optimize it, we have to create basically like my 9-second pitch because, none of us have 30 seconds anymore. Mm-hmm. People zone out after the first 10 words. And so the Fascinate profile is how she helps you redevelop what your pitch is. So your value, your title, and what you do for others is your new pitch. And you get it into a very concise wording based on your advantages in the Fascinate profile. And right now I'm down to about 15 words. So I just need to manipulate it a little bit more to get it into my 9. So I don't have it memorized yet. So please don't ask me.
That was actually what I was going to ask Ness, but that's
I know.
That's okay. But so have you been integrating this into networking events locally, or is it just something where you're just practicing right now?
Well, no, I've been kind of testing it out with my weekly networking events, because of course they know me and they all know what I do. So I'm like, all right, trying something new today. And, so that's where I'm kind of going with that. But ideally what you do with the Fascinate profile is it really helps you change the structure and the verbiage and everything on all of your social media, your website, your LinkedIn profile, to really show people who you are, based on how the world sees you, because that's Fascinate, right? Mm-hmm. So DISC and all of those other ones tell you about yourself and about how you perceive yourself. And Fascinate actually puts together how the world perceives you. And so that you can turn that around, it's almost like writing your bio from outside of you. And so that helps when you're creating content for your readers or your listeners or your potential clients. You're creating content to show who you are from their point of view rather than from yours. Because we all know that we can write from our point of view and that we can describe ourselves, like how we would describe ourselves. Mm-hmm. But anytime you're writing for an audience, you have to tell them a story from their point of view so that they have a feeling invoked. Because if you're just telling a story from your point of view, most likely there's no feelings because nobody's connecting with you because they haven't gone through what you've gone through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, definitely now I have to go and dig mine up. So would you say that there were any experiences or coaches or a parent or teacher that you had growing up early on in your life that helped plant a seed for what you're doing right now?
Oh, you know what? It's so funny because what I'm doing right now is really the opposite of that. So I didn't get into what I'm doing because it was just something that was like, all right, you need to do this. And, somebody guided me there. It was really moving away from pain versus toward pleasure. And my pain was really hating the fact that there's no productivity in corporate America, and there's so many bad managers in corporate America. And I really there's so much red tape. You can't get anything done. And, I felt like stifled in that world. And the authority figures that I had weren't necessarily the best ones. And, that's where it's really funny because talking about Fascinate, my dormant trait is mystique, which, basically says, you're basically having to sit back and hold your tongue and just listen, right? So for those people who have mystique as their dominant, they're listeners. Mm-hmm. And they kind of like Silent Bob from Jay and Silent Bob. Mm-hmm. He only says a phrase when it's like so impactful that you have to listen, right? That's a mystique. And that is not me at all. So I know that that's my dormant personality. But one of the biggest traits was, you feel stifled when you don't have a say in the conversation. And as an administrator in corporate America, I'm doing all of this work and I'm running all of these different things, but I have absolutely no say whatsoever. And I'm getting trampled on by all of these people who are supposed to be in power when I run their lives. One little thing and I could mess up everything for them. And that could cause me to lose my job. And that just killed me. And so, when I decided to fire corporate America, it was like, I need to go and do what I am so freaking good at, and I need to do it for people that care. They care about themselves, they care about their business, and they care about what they're doing for society. And small business owners is where it's at. Mm-hmm. You know, small business owners and solopreneurs are trying to make a difference. And whether it's a difference for them, a difference for their family, or a difference for the world that we live in, they need what I have. And that's how my clone solution started, is running away from all of the corporate America stuff that I just felt stifled by.
Okay. So I actually am curious to hear about some of your early corporate America work. So could you walk me through the journey of your early college and undergrad career into some of your early corporate America work?
Sure. So I basically worked in retail and hospitality from the day that I turned 16 all the way until I fired corporate America. And I was in several different roles, but so I was basically like your typical front desk agent, that kept getting told that, oh, you can run the desk today, you can be the front office manager today, but we're not going to pay you for that. Oh. You know, because I had that trustworthiness, and I had the skills and the knowledge to do it, mm-hmm. but never the title. Especially coming up through high school and college and working full time pretty much throughout all of that. I never had a management job. Never. All the way up through getting out of college. And that I was doing the job. You know, I was running things, and because I have that natural personality, but I wasn't getting the recognition for it, and I wasn't getting paid for it. Mm-hmm. And where the people that were above me that were supposed to be doing that were just all kind of screwed up. I mean, really, I had some really bad managers. And so I just kept going, and I'm like, you know what? Someday I'm going to have the right opportunity at the right time, and I'm just going to work for that. So I'm just going to be who I am. And if they don't like it, I'll go find someplace else, because this is retail and hospitality, and there's always someplace else. Mm-hmm. You know, I could pick up today and make 50 cents more an hour across the street at a different place and have it be the exact same job, just for a different company.
Right.
You know, and so with no shortage of jobs in that particular market, you know, I have the loyalty, but you know what? You have to push me really far to want to give up that loyalty to go and do something else. And so basically when I got out of college, and I decided to move from Michigan to Indiana because I wanted to be in the city, and Indianapolis is a city. And, and
I'm from Indiana, so yes, it definitely is a city.
It totally is.
In a technical term.
So I'm like, you know, I needed to be just far enough away from home where my family just couldn't come drop in, mm-hmm. but I could, you know, kind of form my own life at that point. Because from a very small town in Michigan to like needing to be out and feeling suffocated, Indianapolis was great. I started working in a downtown hotel as an administrator, and I was there for just over a year at that property. Mm-hmm. And I was, in the year that I was there, they went from two administrators to one. I was doing graphic design on a regional level for our regional managers out of our office, and just getting my hands into a whole bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. And, because I was good at it, and I really enjoyed, you know, going the extra mile and showing my loyalty. And, you know, everything was great, except I was making $9 an hour. And I'm like, I need to find something that gives me a little bit more. You know, I'm living on my own now. I'm not living at my parents' house. And so I had night jobs, and I had a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And I just was like, okay, something better. You know, I need to be a sales manager. I need to be a catering manager. I need to like figure out how to get out of this administrator role so that I can make some freaking money, right? Mm-hmm. And so it ended up that I ended up switching